All right, dude. Thanks everybody for joining us. I know it's we try to have as few of these as possible. But every once in a while they're necessary, and this one was necessary. So I appreciate everybody's attendance. So I'll go ahead and call this this emergency meeting of the Tennessee Opioid Abatement Council. I'm sorry. To order on April 25th, 2024. I'm Stephen Lloyd. I'm the chair of the Opioid Abatement Council, and I'm joined by Mary Shelton, our executive director. Sorry, guys, I swallowed wrong. I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Mary, can we go ahead and proceed with a vocal roll call?
Yes, and before I get started, as a reminder, if you are not an Opioid Abatement Council member or staff, will you please turn off your video? And also mute your microphone. This will allow for more screen time or screen area for the Opioid Abatement Council members and cut down on background noise. I'll give folks a couple of minutes to turn off their video, and then I'm going to ask nicely for some videos to be turned off. All right, roll call. Armando Fontes. Bron Buck.
Here.
Casey Cox. Sharm Allen. Clay Jackson. Oh, Sharm, just here, just in time. Thank you.
I was going to say I saw the general.
Clay Jackson. Karen Pershing.
Here.
Ken Moore.
No.
Present.
Lisa Tipton.
What's your name?
All right, somebody's not on mute. If you could make sure everybody check your microphone right now. All right, Mike Flynn.
Here.
Shane Sexton.
Here.
Stephanie Vanterpool.
Here.
Steve Lloyd.
Here.
Tim Fournette. Tommy Farmer.
Here.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Here.
All right, going back up, did Casey Cox join us? Clay Jackson. Okay, and Tim Fournette. All right, we do have one person who's not a council member whose video is on. Let's hear, Diane. Could you possibly turn off your video for us? That will help us out.
Hey, Mary.
Yes?
Hey, Marie Williams is on here. Just wanted you to know that.
Okay, hi, good morning, or good afternoon, Commissioner. Would you like to say anything as we get started?
No, not at all. Back to y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
We have a couple other introductions. Sajal West, if you would like to.
Thanks, Dr. Lloyd.
Raise your hand. Sajal West, our Deputy Director for the Opioid Abatement Council, is joining us today, as is Sam Buckley, the counsel to the Opioid Abatement Council. And then we also have Andrew Collum. Andrew, would you like to say hi to the group?
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Andrew. As an announcement to the Opioid Abatement Council, Mike Stahl, who has been attending our meetings from the Attorney General's office, he has accepted another position and will no longer be attending the Opioid Abatement Council meetings. So in the interim, Andrew is attending. Let's hear Diane Sherrard. Can you hear me? I don't know if she can hear me or not, so we'll move on. Okay. Steve, would you like to read the statement or me?
Yeah, it would prevent me from putting on those glasses, so I'd appreciate
Okay.
if you.
All right, the emergency meeting necessity statement. The Opioid Abatement Council is holding this 100% virtual emergency meeting to expedite the planning and design of the community grant applications process to meet the expected tasks and activities. The OAC finds that these matters to be considered require timely action by the council, that a physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the period of the time requiring action, and that participation by a quorum of the members by electronic or other means of communication is necessary. All right. The Opioid Abatement Council Office would like to make a staff update. We are excited to announce that Ella had her baby on Saturday, April 20th. Tucker John Redding was born at 7 pounds, 12 ounces, 19 inches and 48 centimeters long, and baby and mama are doing very well. So we got to see Ella on Thursday at an in-person staff meeting, and then she texted us Saturday afternoon saying that she had gone to the hospital and was expecting her baby later that afternoon. So we're very happy and wish them the best and wanted to share that with the council.
Yeah, I think she had him in about 20 minutes, and I'm really jealous. Tucker John Redding has more hair than I do. So
okay, yeah. All right. Moving on, we have our agenda for today. I'm going to give an update on the Comptroller of the Treasury performance audit. Going to discuss the transparency and the community grant applications. And then Sage is going to review the community grant contracting, payment, and monitoring processes. All right, just real briefly on the OAC performance audit. This is still continuing. The Opioid Abatement Council is currently under a performance audit by the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury. This is to ensure that we comply with the Tennessee Governmental Entity Review Law and to prepare for our sunset hearing, which should take place later on this year. At the November 2022 sunset hearing, the OAC was continued for 2 years of operation. So since December of 2023, the OAC office has responded to 7 requests from the comptroller's performance audits, plus several clarification requests. And we've provided documents and clarifications on processes. We've provided upwards of 45 documents to the auditor, and these were reviewed and approved by both Sam and Deputy Commissioner Heather Gunderson prior to sending to the auditor. And we've met with the auditor about 3 times to explain the Opioid Abatement Council processes. So just an update on that. Nothing to share apart from the update, but as soon as we have any final information from the audit, I will share that with the council. Any questions? I do see that Tim Fournette. Tim, have you joined us?
Yes.
Right. And I think I saw Clay Jackson coming on. Clay, have you joined us?
I have.
Great. Thank you. And has Casey Cox joined us? Okay. All right. Moving on to community grants and transparency. The OAC office is committed to our culture of transparency, and we have plans to continue with proactively sharing information with the public. And as y'all know, we do this most frequently through posting items on our website. And then we also maintain a distribution list, upwards of 500 people, where we send out regular email communications. The OAC office proposes publishing the abbreviated information for each of the awarded community grants. So we're looking to share the agency name, the strategy, and the project narrative. So it would not be the full application. It would include the agency name, the strategy, and then the project narrative that came at the beginning of the application. So before we move into discussion on this, I'm realizing that we did not make note if we have established a quorum.
yeah, I forgot that, Mary, and I'm sorry. We do have an established quorum. I know that, but I forgot to make note of it.
All right, thank you. Also, I wanted to share with you guys that we have received extra questions and some requests, not formal requests yet, like public requests yet, for information related to the community grant applications. So there's a lot of interest out there from the community and the public as far as who are these grantees that have been approved to receive the community grant funds. But I wanted to bring this before the council today to get your thoughts, your opinions on pulling together information on the 116 approved applications and the possibility of publishing that on the Opioid Abatement Council website. And so I have this discussion and decision point and definitely want to open it up to questions and discussion from the council.
All right.
Stephanie.
All right, thanks, Mary.
Oh, sorry. Stephanie had her. Yes, go ahead, Steve. Sorry, Stephanie had her hand raised.
No,
It caught me off guard.
I can't see everybody, so if you could drive it, that would be great. The screen is just not set up that way, so I can't see who's got their hand up.
Great. Okay, Stephanie.
Quick question. Are we not publishing the award amount? I didn't see that on the list.
We can do that as well. Sorry.
I don't know if that's necessary. I'm just curious if that was a request.
No, we have already published that. So what's already been published is the agency name, the strategy, and the award amount. So that's a good point. I can add that to this when we combine or compile all the information, the agency name, the strategy, the award amount, and the project narrative. Yes, we are sharing that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I move to approve publishing the abbreviated version of the approved community grant applications to include the name, strategy, project narrative, and award amount.
All right, we got a motion to approve by Dr. Vanterpool. Do I have a second?
This is Karen. I'll second.
We got a second from Karen Pershing. Any discussion? And Mary, you'll have to, again, my screen, I can't see if somebody has their hand raised. So give us appropriate amount of time if anybody has anything for discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Dr. Jackson?
Yeah, Clay Jackson here. Do we have any confidentiality concerns? Do we need permission from our grantees? Was it in the grant application that we would have carte blanche to publish this information?
So Mary and Sam, that is not a Steve question for sure.
I think it's up to the council on how they want to proceed. I'm not aware of anything that makes that information confidential. Definitely public information. I think it goes and falls in line with what Mary and the OAC staff are trying to do to just be as transparent as possible. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not aware of any confidentiality concerns.
I would agree
Stephanie?
as far as the name of the agency and the award. The project description could be perceived as a competitive advantage or trade secret. I mean, if somebody wanted to make it that, it has to do with their business plan. And so I would push back and say that we might want to just email these guys and say, is it okay if we publish your project description? If we didn't explicitly say that in the application. Now, Sam, I know you're the attorney here, but I would just say if I were in a healthcare entity and somebody published an application that I sent in without my asking, if that were not explicitly said on the front end, I personally would have a problem with that.
And I don't have an issue with that approach. And I mean, I again defer to the council.
Karen has her hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that in a lot of grant applications, and I know we didn't think of this on the front end, but they ask for just an abbreviated overall statement on the proposal, an abstract. I couldn't think of the word. So I wonder if we can go back and ask for them to submit an abstract. Can we do that? Versus publishing their whole narrative.
And we can definitely do that. The narrative is that abstract that came at the beginning of the application. So I'm not proposing to publish the whole application, but
No.
that first little bit. But we could ask them to give an abstract from that.
What we're talking about is the project summary, the like 250 brief overview of the
Yes.
project, right?
That's right.
That
That's
part,
right.
I mean, that's not all of the details of the project. So I think I agree with, Yeah, we weren't, I don't think it was ever the intention to publish the entire project narrative. I think that might have been a miswording. It was a brief overview of the project that like, basically that is the abstract already. Now, I do agree with Clay that it would be appropriate to request written permission from the grantees to publish it and then annotate if somebody did not get permission when we published that permission was not given, and then that can allow people to inquire how they want about the particular thing that was funded. But I don't have an issue with that. That said, do we need to amend the motion in any way, or can we do a friendly amendment where Clay just says with the participants' permission to publish their brief project overview, not the project narrative, or something along those lines?
And Dr. Vanderpool, I was thinking about that, and so I would think that a friendly amendment would probably work here unless Sam feels otherwise from Robert's rules, but I think a friendly amendment would be in order.
Yeah,
Mr.
that
Chairman?
works.
Yes, Dr. Jackson.
I would ask my colleague, Dr. Vanderpool, if she would consider a friendly amendment to her motion that the summary of grantees will be published, provided grantees give the council permission. If the grantee denies permission, then we would annotate the list with the name of the grantee and that their summary was denied publication.
Dr. Vanderpool, is that an acceptable friendly amendment?
Yes.
Ms. Pershing? You seconded it, Karen, so I was making,
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second with a friendly amendment that has been accepted by the motioner and the seconder. Is there any further discussion? If there's not, Mary, you can proceed with a roll call vote. I think I can see almost everybody now.
Great, great. All right, thank you guys. Armando Fontes, Ron Buck,
Yes.
Casey Cox, Sharm Allen,
Yes.
Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Karen Pershing,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanterpool,
Yes.
Steve Lloyd,
Yes.
Tim Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
All right, so the motion carries. Mary, the next order of business.
So I'm going to turn it over to Sage West, our Deputy Director, and she is going to take us through an overview of the community grant contracting, payment, and monitoring process.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. We're going to talk through our proposed plan for our contracting payment and just give you a preliminary preview of our thoughts around our monitoring plan. That is not that won't be presented in full today. So this first slide is a description of the National Opioid Settlement Funds. It's very familiar to most of you all, I'm sure. We've seen it. We've included it in several presentations. Just wanted to share it so we could direct to the, when we're talking about our community grants, it's the funds, that's the 65% of the 70% of the settlement funds to the Opioid Abatement Council. Go ahead, Mary, next slide. All right, so with those grant funds, we're looking at it's a brief summary, provide a brief summary of our 2024 community grant awards. On March 18th, the council, approved approximately $81 million in grant awards for 2024. So that was 116 grant awards, 85 distinct organizations, grantees, and approximately $235 million over 3 years. So if most of these projects were 3-year projects, but there were some 1 and 2 year. So if the projects were funded for the full terms and had 100% spend, it would be right under $235 million. So what are our next steps? Contracting. All right, share with you our community grant contracting process. So the OAC office, and we began this process several months ago. So even as we were scoring applications and before awards were determined, started doing our research and our consulting around the grant contracting process. So the office sought consultation with the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the Attorney General's Office, Finance and Administration, Office of the Comptroller, and Central Procurement Office. What we have, what the office has, and what we are proposing to the council is to use the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services state grant contract template with some changes. And these are changes that are non-applicable to the trust funds and do not add significant value to the nature of these contracts. A lot of the language is tied around federal dollars, federal reporting, which the settlement funds are not linked to. The community grant contracts would be entered into the state of Tennessee Edison system. And the OAC is proposing to use the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services Budget, Contracts, and Monitoring System, also known as BCMS. It's a system that was developed specifically for their contracts. Approximately, I think, probably 8 to 10 years ago, and it is used for their contract and payment management and also their monitoring process. And it interfaces with Edison daily. The Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services has over 1,000 community contracts that they manage each year with community providers and organizations across the state. So there are a lot of checks and balances built into the BCMS system. What we are proposing is that the legal review process would be done by the OAC's counsel, Sam Buckley. The program review would be done by Mary Shelton, Executive Director, or myself. And the fiscal review within BCMS would be done by the Department of Mental Health's budget office. So these are built into the system to ensure the legal program and financial checks and balances. All right, to share some grant contract details. The contract would be between the Opioid Abatement Council and the grantee. So our 85 distinct grantees, 116 projects. The target start date would be July 1, 2024. And the contract is currently posted, the draft contract, on the OAC website. And council, you received a copy of this via email as well from our Executive Director, Mary Shelton. The community grant contract details. Briefly going to provide a brief overview of the grant contract details. This does not include everything in the contract. Please reference the contract either on the website or the one that was sent to you. But Section A is the scope of services and deliverables. As with our projects, this 116 projects that the council approved vary across the 6 different strategies. We have determined to include or attach the grant application from the organization as part of the contract. So that actually would be the full application that the grantee submitted in Smart Simple. There's a section with definitions, data collection and reporting requirements. The council has determined semi-annual reports. These are the formal reports required. The contract is also in the standard terms and conditions allows for ad hoc request for progress reports information as needed. It includes payer of last resort. It includes information around the programmatic and fiscal monitoring, which we'll discuss a little bit in more detail later. Then also for our capital projects that are focused on land or building acquisition, it includes a restricted covenant and grant notes. There were 3 projects that the council approved that would meet this, so they would have these covenants and grant notes incorporated in. We are recommending, the OAC office is recommending a 15-year term attached to these. The Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, their common practice is used 20 years. However, the council, of course, is in existence for 18 years, and we are in getting ready to get into year 3 of that. So we recommend 15-year. Section B is the term of the grant contract. So this would vary between 1, 2, and 3 years, depending on the application and the approved application. Section C, the payment terms and conditions, which we will discuss in more detail on one of the next slides. Section D are standard terms and conditions. So this is including but not limited to termination for cause, subcontracting requirements. The subcontracted agencies would be under the same, have the same requirements that the contracted agency would have. Conflicts of interest, subject to funds availability, and language around motor vehicle acquisition, as several of the projects included purchasing mobile units or vans. And then section E are the special terms and conditions. All right, community grant payments. So we are proposing to the council that we use cost-based reimbursement contracts with minimum quarterly invoicing and no more often than monthly. Invoices would be submitted to the OAC office and would follow the submitted budgets that will be submitted as part of the contracts that were similar to the budget request in the grant applications. The OAC office review and approve they review and approve or contact the grantee with any questions within 2 business days. Department of Mental Health Fiscal would approve within 1 business day. Finance administration. So this first part would be done within the BCMS system. So it is tracked and it is against the submitted budget. And then the BCMS system interfaces with the Edison system. So finance administration would then approve the invoice within 3 days, and payment normally goes out between 1 to 2 days. So payment if there are no questions or communication between the grantee and our office could go out within 7 to 10 business days. We are also proposing that we look at a request for prepayment. So that would be available in very limited circumstances and reviewed by the executive director and the OAC office to determine if appropriate. For some of the council had voiced prior that concerns around some of the smaller agencies and the being able to having the funds necessary to fulfill the contractual obligations, not being able to wait for the payment after invoicing. So this would give the option for prepayment, which we just to give some information, out of our 85 grantees, 47 already have contracts with the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. So they're very familiar with this process. The department primarily uses cost-based reimbursement grants or fee-for-service grants, but they're very familiar with these processes. Out of the 38 that do not currently have contracts, 11 of those are small cap budget agencies, as we determined. So that gives a little bit of idea of maybe the volume we would be having. Of course, we would be monitoring this and communicating with you, with the council, this process and setting up some parameters for it as well. Next slide, please. All right, community grant monitoring. Contract language regarding the monitoring process is a little different than the standard language that's in the contract the department uses currently. And I highlighted this part. The results of this monitoring shall be reported publicly to the Opioid Abatement Council during quarterly meetings and shall be discussed publicly by the Opioid Abatement Council during these quarterly meetings. The council is, under the Sunshine Laws, everything is discussed publicly. We are currently working on a plan of how we would present this. It would be similar to the way we presented the applications, the scoring, in being able to provide this in summary form. So what we're looking at currently is that there would be let's go to the next slide, Mary, and we can talk a little bit more in detail because we are informing this plan. It is still under development. We hope to share it with the council June possibly the meeting, the next quarterly meeting, with more detail. But the preliminary plan would have a monitoring team. So we would have 2 program monitors and 2 fiscal monitors. Our 2 program monitors are our current grants analysts, Mark and David, which you all have met, and they were part of the scoring process. The fiscal monitors would be to be hired looking at August of 24. These were approved by the council prior. We're not hiring until there was the need. We will use the Department of Mental Health's process of the guide and resource to perform both the fiscal and programmatic monitoring. We plan this to be a very collaborative process, and we want to provide a lot of support to the grantees and really help them be successful in their projects. Our monitoring plan and schedule would be based on a risk assessment of the grantees, and it'd be a combination of on-site visits, virtual visits, and desktop review. And now get to the what I skipped over a few moments ago. The monitoring results will be reviewed with the OAC during quarterly meetings. So in a summary report, so what we're looking at is each quarter, we would share how many agencies and the list of the agencies that were monitored, the ones that had findings. If we were recommending corrective action plans, we would recommend that to the council for approval. And it would be a rolling quarterly update. So each quarter we'd be reporting on the status of the newly monitored agencies, both programmatically and fiscally, and then also on the updates and status of the corrective action plans, if there were any.
So thank you, Sage, so much for that overview. So Sage has met with all of the council members that are on the meeting today. Are there any questions from the council members about the proposed contract? I don't see any, Steve. Oh, you're on mute.
Trying to get rid of the background noise, sorry. And I hate this thing, by the way. So given no questions, do I have a motion to approve the community grantee contract?
Move approval.
Got
More.
a motion to approve by Mayor Moore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I didn't get the voice there. The first one was,
I think I beat him, yeah.
oh, you beat him, Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy's a little slow on the draw. So second by Brian Buke. Any discussion? And again, Mary, I can't see everyone. So if anybody raises their hand, I'll need to know. Okay.
There are no hands raised.
All right, speak now. All right. So Mary, can you proceed with a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Armando Fontes, Brian Buck,
Yes.
Casey Cox, Sharm Allen,
Sharm had to leave.
oh, sorry. Thank you.
No, you
Clay
texted me.
Jackson,
Yes.
Karen Pershing,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanderpool,
Yes.
Steve Lloyd,
Yes.
Tim Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I also have another point for you guys to review and discuss and consider. Does the Opioid Abatement Council authorize the executive director to amend and negotiate contracts in consultation with legal and without further approval by the Opioid Abatement Council, except for material changes to the funding amount or term of the contract? We don't expect anything, but as y'all know, laws are passed, templates are updated, policies are changed above us, like at the finance and administration level. We then have to incorporate that language into existing contracts. So this would allow us to amend those contracts if we are directed to do so.
And Mary, I want to speak to that for just a second. And we're asking for this authorization because it doesn't, if you don't have material changes to funding or the amount or the term of the contract, then looking at it, it didn't look like there was a huge role for the council, and it looked like, in my opinion, legalese. And regardless of what our track history may be, and we try to prevent these meetings, and this would be a way to cut down on them and just trust our executive director and the staff that we've hired, which I do inherently. I talk to them all the time. So it would be my recommendation that we authorize this. So if we don't have any questions, I would need a motion to approve in a second.
More
I'll
here.
make a
I
motion
move
to approve.
approval.
Got a motion to approve by Mayor Moore, and I have I assume the first person will be a second as well, but I don't know who it was.
It's Tim Fournette.
Okay, Dr. Fournette. So we got a motion to approve by Dr. Moore and a second by Dr. Fournette. Is there any discussion? Okay, Mary, hearing none, and I think I can see everybody now. I don't see any hand raises. Can we proceed with a roll call vote?
Yes. Armando Fontes, Brian Buck,
Yes.
Casey Cox, Sharm Allen, Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Karen Pershing,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanterpool,
Yes.
Steve Lloyd,
Yes.
Tim Fournette,
Yes.
Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
All right. So the motion carries.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Thank you guys very much. Mary, what's our next item?
We are done with content. Steve, do you have any items?
I do not have any items, and I think that leaves us with public comment, if that's the correct. I do have one quick item. It's just gratitude on my behalf for the work done by this council. Mary and I presented at the National RX Summit. We had a front row consisting of Tommy Farmer and Judge Sloan. So we had the best looking front row of any breakout session in Atlanta. And, going through what Mary and I presented that day, I was just grateful for the work that this council has done. That many applications and the due diligence shown in the course of your everyday life, carrying down your workday jobs. So I just wanted to express my gratitude for it. And I know the citizens of the state of Tennessee are glad as well to get this money into the community. So I wanted to thank everybody. All right. So with that said, we can proceed with public comment. Again, Mary, I'll leave you up to the instructions.
Sure thing. So when I call on you, you may turn your camera on and unmute yourself. So we do have one hand raised, and that is, oh, we have two. Hold on one second. Let me make this bigger. Sorry, I'm having a problem here. Okay, Chad Elkin.
Okay, Dr. Elkins.
Yeah, hey, this is Dr. Elkin. I just want to thank the council for all y'all have done. I feel like y'all have done a great job, and I just wanted to give you, thanks from us, and I think from everybody that I've talked to thus far. I'm involved with ASAM with a lot of other OAC councils in other states, and I feel like comparatively y'all are doing an awesome job. So just thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Elkins.
All right, Dean Graber, sorry.
Yeah, hello, my name is Dean Graber, and trying to turn my camera on. From Nashville, I attended my first council meeting last month in Farragut, and I made a comment then. And again, I'd like to thank the council members and the staff for your hard work in reviewing the applications and distributing funding across Tennessee. Thank you also for the email notifications, which makes it so easy to follow your work. And again, briefly, I'd like to call attention to the families who have been so deeply affected by addiction, who travel from various communities in our state to the in-person meetings and who are here today. They bring photos to represent and honor their loved ones who they have lost to addiction. They share words with the council during the public comment period. These family members with lived experience are truly experts, subject matter experts in the subject of addiction. They're doing very important work all across our state. And many of us in Tennessee believe that the families and individuals with lived experience deserve space on the membership of the council, not just as members of the audience. As of June 2023, 17 states require representation of people and family members with lived experience in their opioid settlement decision-making and advisory groups. And this number comes from the National Academy for State Health Policy. Tennessee's opioid settlement process would benefit greatly from more of this input. They represent very important perspectives that are not currently officially represented on the council, but instead only heard from the sidelines as spectators. So I ask that you consider ways to make space at the table for these individuals and families with lived experience, and that you be open to entertaining future suggestions for doing so. Thank you for your time, and thank you again for the important work you all are doing on the council.
Thanks, Mr. Graber, and for what it's worth, I agree. Mary?
Yep, Brian Edens.
Chair recognizes Brian Edens.
Hello, Brian Edens here. So first of all, thank you to the council for all the great work that you're doing. I wanted to clarify my understanding on something that Sejal said. I did understand her correctly to say that the contracts would be cost reimbursement invoice based, so similar to contracts that we already have with mental health and substance abuse. Thank you.
All right, so in the public comment, we don't proffer advice or really answer questions here, but I'm going to answer this one. If after the meeting you'll reach out to Sejal or Mary through our website, we will help you with your question.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised at this time. Oh, got another one. Deanna Wood.
Okay, the chair recognizes Deanna Wood.
Thank you very much, Mary. Just a quick question, and Dr. Lloyd as well. I don't know if this is the correct platform. First of all, thank you very much. We were one of the late grantees with the First Tennessee Development District. I see your smile, Steve. Thank you so much for all your help. The question that we had, and I'm not sure if this is the right forum for it, we were one of the late grantees that was for some of the additional monies. There seems to be some confusion on our part. The initial email that we got looked like it gave us the dollar amount for all 3 of the years. However, some of the other documentation that we've been receiving only is saying for 1 of the years. And so for our clarification, so that we can start on a really great foot moving forward, we're not really sure which one we should run with. Do we run with numbers for just a single year? Do we run with numbers for 3 years? So can you kind of help me a little bit in that realm?
Thanks, Deanna, and I'll, it's really the same answer. First of all, I would be the last person in the world to ask that, and I'm good with that. So if after this meeting you will reach out to Mary and Sejal will absolutely help you with that. And this is the rightest forum as anywhere. We just don't, we traditionally don't answer questions around that, but we certainly can direct you in that direction. And I can assure you, Mary and Sejal will help you with that.
That would be fabulous. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mary, I've got a hand raised here, but it looks like a phantom of some sort.
Antoinette.
Okay, the chair recognizes Antoinette.
Gijinska.
Oh, goodness. No, I didn't mean that in a bad way. There's just a blank screen. I can't even see a name, so I apologize. I didn't mean it derogatory.
That's okay. They just know me as Dr. G. Keep it simple.
Right. I got you.
I'm representing Cumberland Heights, and I just want to thank the committee so much for involving us and including us in this really important work. This might be one of those questions that you may defer back to Mary, but I would like to ask, when we were writing up the application back in 2023, in our study, we said that we would be recruiting patients in 2024. So now that the monies won't be dispersed until July, and then we'll hire our team to start that work, I was curious, are we required to submit an amendment or addendum to the proposal so we can extend our participation recruitment into 2025? Or is that sort of understood with the way that the grant is being rolled out in mid-2024?
Thanks, Dr. G, and you're correct about that. And, I will tell you that our goal is to get money into the community. It's not to, not to force people into action. So after this is over, if you will reach out again to Mary and to our staff, we will definitely help you with that.
And hey,
All
Steve,
right.
if I may, and thank you, Dr. G, and thank you, Deanna, for the questions. So now that the contract has been approved, our 2 grants analysts, Mark and David, will be reaching out to each of the grantees over the next weeks. Okay, most likely starting at the beginning of next week. So there's 116, and how many agencies, Sage? 85?
85.
85 agencies. So just a little bit of patience as we work through the list, but I know I've already received several specific questions to the budget, to the contract, to the application. Mark and David and our team will work with each of the grantees individually to make sure that all your questions are answered. So thanks to the council for approving the contract. Now we can move on to the next step, which is working with you guys on the contracting process. So we will be in touch. So just hold your questions and they will get in touch with you next week.
Great. I'll let the team know. And again, thank you all so much.
Thanks,
You're
Dr. G.
welcome.
Yeah, really kudos to the council today. We needed to get these things done so we can move forward, and we did that. I'm very pleased with that. Are there any other Mary, I still have that nebulous handout in space on my
It
computer.
was Brian. It's Brian Eden. His hand is still up.
Okay.
But no, there are no other. No, thank you, Brian. No other hands raised. So thank you.
All right, given that, we have reached the end of our business and the things that have been sunshined, and it's my favorite part of the meeting, which is adjournment. And I hate this, but I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
But a motion to adjourn by, I think that was Wayne Wyckoff.
It is.
Do I have he's motioned to adjourn every single time, which I'm proud of. Do I have a second?
This is Karen. I'll second.
Karen, so we had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Would you proceed with a roll call vote, Mary?
Armando Fontes, Brian Buck,
Yes.
Casey Cox, Sharm Allen, Clay Jackson,
Yes.
Karen Pershing,
Yes.
Ken Moore,
Out of here.
Lisa Tipton,
Yes.
Mike Flynn,
Yes.
Shane Sexton,
Yes.
Stephanie Vanterpool,
Yes.
Steve Lloyd,
Yes.
Tim Fournette had to log off, Tommy Farmer,
Yes.
and Wayne Wyckoff.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. We stand adjourned. And Special Agent Farmer, I shall see you bright and early in the morning.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, thank you guys very much. Bye-bye.